thanking the United States for a new $40 billion aid package. Lawmakers overwhelmingly approved the plan, which includes military and economic assistance in its fight against Russia. So meanwhile, the battle rages on in eastern Ukraine, where videos showing buildings destroyed by Russian shelling. Zelensky says the city of Mariupol is now fully in Russian control, and it's unclear what will happen to the Ukrainian troops who surrendered. Since the war started in February, the U.S. has committed some $54 billion in support to Ukraine. That approaches the size of Russia's annual military budget.
And joining us this morning is former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Maria Yovanovitch, who last night addressed the Phoenix Committee on Foreign Relations. And her new memoir, Lessons from the Edge, was an instant New York Times bestseller. And I don't think that we could ever have a guest in studio who could lend more perspective on what we're looking at overseas. So thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations on the wonderful reception for your book. You were thrust into the spotlight, and it's very rare for most Americans to be able to name an ambassador to any country, yet you were in the crosshairs of a lot of public scrutiny, participating in the impeachment proceedings for former President Donald Trump. That time in your life, obviously a focus of what you're writing about in the book. Your composure during these hearings got a lot of attention. What was it like behind the scenes for you inside?
Well, I mean, as you can imagine, you know, the composure, I'm glad you thought I looked composed. You know, inside, of course, there's all these emotions because this was a very difficult situation. I never imagined that I would have to testify in an impeachment investigation. It wasn't obviously my choice, but I felt I had to do this, that my duty was to the Constitution.
The goings-on at that time kind of was maybe one of the first times that many Americans were hearing about diplomatic relations with Ukraine and business dealings with Ukraine. How connect the dots with what was going on during those years and now what we're seeing here? I mean, how much instability was caused by some of the relations with the United States, and what do you see going on now? I mean, how will this resolve?
Yeah, well, I think that when President Trump used kind of dangled the possible delivery of javelins, you know, now we all know what javelins are, the anti-tank missiles, in exchange for a personal favor to him, using his office for his personal gain, that really, I think, was the low point of relations with Ukraine. Zelensky was a new president. He could see he was being manipulated. And so I think relations were a little rocky. And as we can see now, Ukraine needed those weapons and continues to need them, which is why it's so important that yesterday the Senate did pass that $40 billion assistance package, because we need to supply Ukraine with the kinds of weapons it needs against the Russian army, and we need to keep on resupplying them. And we need to do it right now because time counts.
And an ambassador for the United States just named this
Bridget Brink.
So I mean, we're trying to restore some of the relations and support that have maybe been missing over the last couple of years. I mean, we've seen millions of Ukrainians displaced.
Yes.
It is horrific to watch what's going on there. How do you see this being resolved in any way? The money is crucial. Are you in support of the choice to remain uninvolved in terms of physical presence there?
Well, I think it is very important that the U.S. and the West more broadly continue to support Ukraine strongly, that we continue to deter Russia, and that we continue to strengthen the eastern flank of NATO. Absolutely critical. But I think that it's also important to do try to take all measures to avoid a wider war. I mean, nobody wants that. That's not in anybody's interest. But here's the thing. You know, some say that there's risk in doing some of the things we're doing, but there's also risk in not doing enough. And I think that's what the history of the last 20 years really shows us, that in 2008, Russia invaded Georgia, took 2 hunks, and the West didn't even comment, basically. In 2014, Putin did it again by illegally annexing Crimea, starting a war in the Donbass. He stopped at a certain point because of sanctions. But he used the time, the ensuing, 8 years, to regroup, rearm, build up his war chest, and we see what is happening now, starting February 24th, with an unprovoked re-invasion of Ukraine. And so I think it's critical that we ensure that Ukraine prevail in this fight, because otherwise he will keep on going. That's the pattern.
Last little question. question I have time for. How would you characterize, I'm sure over the years you've spent a lot of time thinking about Vladimir Putin and what makes him tick and what the motivations are there. What is your take? What's the end game here?
I think the end game is not only to draw in, to occupy all of Ukraine and bring it into the fold of Mother Russia, but he has told us he has greater ambitions for some of the other countries that used to form the Soviet Union, the Russian Empire, and frankly, he wants to destroy the international world order. He wants a world where might makes right. That is a less secure world for the United States. It's a less prosperous world for the United States, and it's a less free world for all of us.
I'm sure that the guests at the dinner last night were very intrigued by all that you have to say, and I wish that we had hours to talk to you. But thank you so much. If you're curious to find out more about this experience, in particular in the light of what we're watching happen in the news right now, the memoir is available everywhere. Your bestseller. Congratulations and
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Scott?